In my experience, there are three major things which can be found underground. And I like the idea of the underground. I think it's a fascinating thing. The idea of like dwarves mining the ground and smithing it into wonderful little crafts and trinkets and, different metal things. The idea of the earth being where the wealth is. And that's because you find gemstones and ore and all kinds of treasures. And of course, you form these into physical objects. So you could almost say that the earth, the underground, the land of dirt and mineral and all kinds of, sand and whatever, is the land of the physical world, the land of wealth. And in front of me, I have three things. They kind of look like cups. These two are cups. This is an aluminium can, which used to be made out of tin. Now tin's a pain in the ass to get. But if you want tin, soldering wire has a certain percentage of tin. You're going to have to figure out how to get the lead or the silver out of it yourself. But otherwise... Now, what do you notice about these three is that they are made of different materials. Now, of course, the first one in front of me is a glass drinking mug. This is a very nice cup. I like this cup. And it's made out of glass. What kind of glass? I'm not really sure. Some kind of quartz, right? Most of this glass is a quartz glass, right? It's cheap, easy to make. Secondly, we have a ceramic mug. Now, this has got a nice little finish from it. What is the finish made out of? I'm not sure. Maybe some kind of copper or something. It doesn't really matter. The thing is, it's made out of ceramic, right? You can see, it's made out of, it's got that white ceramiciness to it. Ooh, dark. So, glass, ceramic, and metal. I've had to turn the light on just because I like the dark light, but it just keeps going out. It's a bit of a weird weather day. Anyway, I've got a coin here. I don't know if this coin is real. I'm trying to figure out if it is, and it's absolutely... The condition is not so good. It's 1937 Australian crown. Now, if this is real, it should be made out of about 92.5, I think, percent silver and 7.5, I think it's 7.5% copper as well, mostly pure silver. Now it's got that burgundy-ish looking oxidization. That's because I've put it up through all kinds of torturous chemical testing because I really just want it for silver. This is probably worth, I don't know, $30 or something. It's not a lot of silver, right? You could see the metal is degrading into that, if I really get it close, that burgundy-ish looking stuff, right? So basically, when this degrades, it turns into this, right? And I think I've got a rusty can. Now this can has been tortured by the looks of it with fire. You can see it's got all this. If I get it in focus, it's got it looks like copper in there and iron. Maybe this is actually an aluminum iron because aluminum rusts like a white, which there is some white looking stuff. But anyway, you can see that looks straight up like iron rust, right? And what that rust is, in my definition, it looks a little bit crystalline. Some areas are kind of crystalline. But I would put oxides, which is rust, in the category of ceramic. Right? So ceramic. Glass, again, these are all earthly substances. This isn't... I've got a piece of plastic here. This isn't plastic. Plastic is... I'm still trying to figure out plastic. It's like some weird resinous gummy material made out of... From what I understand, you think a fruit gives off what is it, an ethene gas vapor or something? That's how it's like the thing of putting a mango or fruit in a bag, or you're putting it under, what do they put it under, rice or sand or something, and the gases ripen it, right? So, and I'm pretty sure plastic is made from ethene or ethylene or some kind of, again, that's like ethanol. It's this S thing. It's this some, look, I don't understand it enough. Polymer, somehow it's some kind of I think it's related to organics is what I'm saying. Somehow, and you make it out of, if you just say you have cornstarch, you got the cornstarch and then you add the water and you make like a plastic out of that, right? You can dry it out and you can make a plastic. Somehow it's plastic is similar to all of that. It's just that they somehow make it out of that mineral oil, and the volatiles that come out of it. Anyway, this isn't about plastic, but what I'm trying to say is glass is like the most pure, perfect. Well, look, debatably metal could also be. I would say ceramic is the bottom. Ceramic is like here on the hierarchy. It's down the bottom or it's to the left side, you can think, if left is representing the bottom. Technically it doesn't, but whatever. You refine earth into metal, right? So you take a piece of ore, like a chunk of ore, take a rock. And one little interesting thing, some people think like rocks and gems and all this stuff are petrified, like trees and petrified animals, and who knows, maybe some of it is, but maybe some of it forms naturally just underground. This kind of looks like it was formed somehow. So we got these rocks, right? And people like create bricks, right? Bricks out of the stuff you build houses with. So here's my ceramic pile. I have piles of things: metal, wood, ceramic. Here's my ceramic pile, right? Got to keep the place clean. And you can see this brick. It has sand, little tiny sand particles around it. But mostly, these are made out of like clay. It's just a bunch of clay and some sand, and it was heated and compressed probably. And you can see here, right? And maybe there's some, like this one, because it's a little more white, and you can see the mortar is here, and this mortar, and it's mixed in with like sand and little rocks and all that, is, I believe, some kind of calcium compound, right? So again, all these is and that would be mined probably. I don't think I don't know if they calcine to get that, but they probably calcine, or which means to heat up to a high heat what they mine. But what I'm saying, you could get it out of like bones or something, but I don't think they do. I don't know. Maybe they do. Right. So point being, the stuff the dirt and like the clay and the sands and all that kind of stuff that you get from the top of the soil and the top of the earth, people make into like bricks and pottery and all that kind of stuff. It's very useful. Ceramic is a very useful material, especially has nice like heating properties and all that. But you can go deeper to the next level under the earth, which is stuff like ores, which these rocks still technically would be ore. I think this is an iron rock. This is probably another iron rock. Most of the stuff you find under the earth is probably just iron. It's a very common material, right? And until we have different mines and different deposits, and you tell what the mineral is. Copper, it oxidizes, meaning it rusts, a kind of bluey green, and that's like malachite or copper oxides, copper carbonates, copper sulfates, etc. Depending on the kind of, the land is what you will get. And if you melt it with a high enough temperature or use different chemical processes, you get raw copper. This isn't copper, but just pretend it is. So what I'm saying is that, you know, from raw earthly things, you can make better things, and you can make better things. And the glass, so glass, I'm going to have another video about. We're going to talk about that a little more. Is essentially just, so I've got sand here. This is a bunch of sand, right? It's somewhat impure, you know. It's from dirt. So you can get sand from the beach. You can get sand from dirt. Basically, you just take dirt and you just leach out all of the clay, all of the organics, and then you get this. It's like a rock, like little glassy rocks, as you can see there. And if you melt that, you'll get an impure colored glass, and you can just smash it up again and filter it out, and you know, heat it again, etc., etc. And the glass is colored by the salt of the metal, or the earthly material. And crystals, let me go get some crystals for you. All right, so I think these are amethyst, I'm not sure. And you can see they've been tumbled, which basically means they've just been like, you know, sanded against, and now they've got a nice surface. And these are fairly glassy. You can see this is the same material, essentially. It's a glassiness as this, right? Except difference is this is quartz, and this is, I think, aluminum oxide, like alumina, I think. Alumina and various like metallic salt, not metallic, excuse me, elemental metal salts, which forms color, right? Well, this is basically just pure glass. It's probably borosilicate, who knows, to make it stronger. And you can see it's pretty glassy. Now this one is a little bit more deeply colored, so it's less pure, right? From purity to less pure, let me spectrum these out. You can see here, this is very white. It's more, maybe more, got more calcium to it. So these ones are more glassy, these ones are more dull, which means they're more earthly, I believe. They're more like a rock, right? Because you can get various crystals, which... Here's some garnets. Now these garnets are they're not like rubies where they're, you know, see-through, like a high quality ruby. Because again, you got to realize there are qualities to all these. I have more amethyst, which is even more like a rock. It's even more rocky. These ones look duller, look more rocky. These garnets, I still like them. I still think they're nice. And if you polish them, they'd have a nice, like, red shine to them. But unpolished, you know, unrefined, they're more like the ceramic. They're more like the rock, right? Instead of the glass. So with crystals, you have a spectrum from glass to ceramic, or from really pure looking, really nice, and, you know, all that stuff. Actually, I like this one a bit more, these two, because they're kind of more colored. You know, they got a nice color to them, but whatever. And then you get the darker ones, the more rocky looking crystals, right? So here are some other crystals. You see this one isn't see-through. These are they're not really see-through, but you kind of get what I'm saying. They're less, like this one is just completely, you know, you can't see through it at all. It's, you know, which means it's more towards that side, the ceramic side, so to speak. Like it's got, you know, and this one, of course, is I wanted to show because it's broken in half. It's like, see that it looks resinous. Now this one is probably either artificial or made with heat. I think it's probably artificial, because when you look it in half, it doesn't have, okay, so there's different formations. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but there's different formations of crystals, which is through heat, and there's through like natural growth. And one of them looks more like a salt. You know, you think ice patterns, like what's that little the icicle? Crap, I forgot that hexagram looking icicle thing, right? And some of them look more like resin, like this, because they are formed probably with heat. It's the same way you heat up sugar, and then you know, you form into a toffee, compared to the difference between crystallization of sugar, right? It's two different forms of creation. Like this was probably made by heat. And is this cup any less valuable than these crystals, which were probably formed? Maybe these were formed naturally, these look very natural. See how they're more well, no, they're probably sharpened to be geometrical. I don't know. To me, this looks more geometrical and like, you know, probably is more natural, right? It's the same way with rocks. This rock might be fake. It looks like it maybe was, oh, maybe not. I don't know. Is a brick or is this cup less valuable than just assume this rock was natural? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Does that make it one more valuable or less valuable? The same way this with the glass, does it make one more valuable and less valuable? Same with the metal. Supposedly you can find pieces of just rocks that you cut into, and they look kind of like this, where it's you've got pure metal and then you've got like oxides and carbonates and all kinds of stuff like that, right? Is the created metal by human less valuable than the metal made by nature? Just pretend it's a piece of like copper that, you know. Apparently there is copper that you cut into and it's like natural. Now, is that real, or is it like ancient civilizations that left pieces of copper? I don't know. You can learn to create crystals and metal and ceramic and all these things. You can learn to do what nature does, to make, you know, natural things. You can take bits of dirt and you know, what, sand and sulfur and clay and lime and all kinds of, you know, whatever materials, and make your own fake rocks. This cup is like a fake rock, right? It's like a fake bit of ceramic. And through doing that, through working with metal and ceramic and glass, crystal and salt, if you want to bring it to the chemical realm, salt, again, if you heated the salt up with the glass, it would color it. You just have to use different salts of different metals, which is why this is colored. Why this glass is a nice little purple color. And the amount of salt, the amount of carbonates, the amount of, you know, different kinds of metallic materials is what gives it the interesting form that it has. Like this kind of yellowy, this white stuff, maybe it's a carbonate or more of a quartzy kind of stuff, for example, right? And this green one probably was colored with either iron in the way of a jade, or it was colored with maybe a copper. Actually, I'm not sure with this one. I would assume it's an iron because it's such a deep green. And once you figure this stuff out, then you can start to think. Finally, we start to look at the seashell. And it's very interesting. It looks like it comes from this little point at the bottom, and then it just springs out. It's like a rays of sunshine. You know, you got lines. You can see these lines, and you got these curves, and it's got this interesting pattern of growth, right? And you think, well, it's got, you can see that white, that's the calcium. So this is, of course, the bones, skin, hair, shells, all this stuff relates to, you know, the physical element of organic creatures, and this is the most minerally thing, you know, minerally earthly thing of the scallop clam, or whatever, you know, you call it, right? So this is a very physical thing. It's similar to like a rock or a gem or something. It's like the clam created its own gem. The same way with bones and such. Look at that, lines and curves. Through understanding, you know, what these things are made out of, you can understand what this is made out of. Like I saw a mussel shell that was kind of greeny, and I thought that's probably iron, especially since it was from New Zealand. You know, New Zealand, iron. That's why the Maori people are so strong, I imagine, because they just have like lots of iron there. There's lots of jade, nephrite jade, which is iron jade, right? Again, it makes you strong, all this stuff. And you can begin to understand the world through everything that's there, right? You look down under your feet and it shows you, you know, it's the analogy of heaven, heaven and earth. Earth, the root, it springs from that, you know, it's like a big, like the sky, kind of looks like that, right? But it all comes from the root, it all comes from the foundation. So the matter, you know, is analogous. It's like the color is analogous to the salt that is in there. So anyway, take it as it is. I hope you learnt something. Again, the three major categories: the earth, the ceramic or earthly, dirt, you know, all that stuff, metallic, and crystalline or gem or glass. You know, glass is just a word for, the word crystal comes from ice, glass, you know, all this stuff, right? And one purifies into another, and this purifies into another. And this degrades, assumably, I don't know if glass degrades. I mean, this is kind of getting a bit, you know, I think it was a bit more clear when it was new, who knows. I think it degrades into probably just straight to earth, but, you know, whatever. At least the metal degrades into ceramic, so everything comes back to this. If it is in a, like a lower power state, if it's not like growing and, you know, as we saw with the can, if it goes through heat and you know, water and heat, see, it rusts it and makes it all kind of nasty and, you know, like that. Or it purifies further into a gemstone, you know. So anyway, that's about enough. Check the links in the description and have a nice day.